This is a channeled, timeless collective reading for you when you see it. I've got channel messages that came through ahead of time from my spirit guides, the angels, and source. And of course, my spirit guides, the angels, and source will bring through any additional information that's for your highest good as I read through these. The first message that came through ahead of time, they are switching up and showing me something different than what came through ahead of time. And we'll get to those messages as well. Of course, it will kind of fluidly flow into that, but they're showing me a giraffe here. You might have some unexpected developments on your path or have recently. Just go with the flow is what I'm getting. I feel like even if it seems bad, it's not. That's the exact sentence I'm hearing. Like sometimes there's like a hitch in the plan, or you go to do something, it doesn't work out. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It could just be divine protection or divine intervention, keeping you from going down the wrong path or creating the wrong thing in your reality. Or maybe it would do more harm for you than good. So don't worry about that too much is what I'd say. Just go with the flow on that, and you'll be led to the correct path for you as things develop. They're also showing me a cricket as well ahead of time. I've been getting this message around this time with these readings, but your good luck is expanding. Excuse the creaking upstairs. I just have neighbors and they walk around sometimes. But your good luck is expanding. So if you feel like you've been down on your luck, that's going to stop soon is something I'm getting. You're getting a turnaround there, which is good. It's like the wheel is turning in your favor, to borrow from tarot, I suppose, some tarot terminology. That is happening for you. You might have to be a little bit patient with that. You might have to do some work on yourself depending on who you are and where you're at, etc. But your luck is going to turn around if you feel like bad things have been happening or tower moments have been happening, again, to borrow from tarot or anything like that. So they're kind of skipping to a next message here. And they just said, they showed me a frog and said, you are being called to take leaps away from things that are bringing you down if you haven't already. People, places, jobs, things, anything. It's time to move up, not be brought down. It's one of the, that message came through last week, I think, as well here. So if you need to hear this more than once and you haven't been taking the moves away from things that are bringing you down, it's time. You need to. Don't delay it if you can help it. I mean, some of you, there's like a divine timing or there's like glitches, unless it's not literal glitches in the universe or anything like that. But maybe you try to change things and it didn't work. If you know you're supposed to move away from something and it's not working the first time, just try a different way or try again later or something like that. You'll get the right moves at the right time, but it's really time to move away from something negative if you're feeling called to that. I would do that. Excuse the pause. Sometimes I just picking up on energies or something and I have to kind of shoo it away or something like that. So the first message that came through ahead of time, they just said, Ascension Energy is hitting you hard, so it's time to purify your energies and lay low and take some time for you if you feel called to. You'll be feeling better soon. So you might be getting hit hard with Ascension Energy right now, or like upgrades, or maybe you feel like everything's changing around you. You don't know what to do because you are elevating. I wouldn't worry about that too much, but it's really time to take care of yourself. Again, like the recommendation they had is purify your energies, cleanse, lay low, let some of this blow over if you feel knocked out by higher energies coming in or anything like that. You might feel a lot of downloads through your crown chakra of higher energies from source that are up-leveling you and ascending you. I don't use this word very often with ascension. I feel like in some ways it's been hijacked by some people who don't always have the best intentions, is something I just heard, interestingly enough. Or just certain people get weird with it, or in a way where it's not really accurate with what's going on. I'm not talking about anything like wiggity or like, too out there to the point that is not true with any of this. I just feel like you're legitimately ascending and it might be hitting you hard as you transform at times. So lay low if you feel like that's happening to you or you're upgrading in bigger ways like that. So the next message I have for you, it kind of goes along with the frog message a little bit, or it's kind of along the similar vein in some ways, but actually there's a big differentiation with it. So it could be an expansion to this or a separate message for you. Let's just delve into it. But they gave me the phrase leaving the bog, and they showed me this like swamp. Reminded me of something out of I was going to give a reference, but they said not to give it to you, so I'm not doing it. But the message is like, sometimes you go through phases that are like tests or rites of passage, and your life like isn't going to be like those phases going forward. So the message was, some of you are leaving a test phase where you were tested or went through a rite of passage to get somewhere, almost like you're being initiated to a higher level. And they just, you are going to leave that excessive difficulty behind. For others, this is your cue to really leave negative energies behind, like we were talking about earlier. So if someone's trying to take you down, leave them. If someone's always bringing you down, leave it. Or something. Don't train people to treat you badly. Leave them and let them learn. So if you, that last message, like if you have someone who's treating you badly, or maybe it's even like an organization, and you keep letting it happen without you doing anything, like leaving it behind or making the effort to leave, you're kind of almost training them that it's okay, if that makes sense, or showing them that they'll tolerate it and they just can keep doing it. So you might be the one who has to make a change if you want something like that to stop, whatever it is. You might be the one that has to draw the boundary and leave, especially if it's like a job or a partner, whatever it is. For others of you, regarding this rite of passage thing that they were talking about here, it's kind of a reminder that difficult phases aren't going to last forever. Sometimes maybe you want to do something in the world that's like, what's the best thing to say here that would be accurate and helpful for you guys here? Like maybe if you want to do like spiritual work here, like for your job, on earth, maybe you had to go through a certain like, I don't want to put this on you or say this always has to happen, but maybe you had to go through some type of rite of passage, like, oh, are you ready for this? Or are you ready for this thing you're going to have to deal with if you get this, or things like that. It's almost like a test, like, can you handle it? And it's not like a test where you pass or fail. It's more of a test like, this is going to happen if you keep going this way, and it's not necessarily bad, it just is what it is. Can you handle this thing that comes along with it if you go that direction? And if you can have this thing. If you can't, it's time to pivot, or you're just not ready for it, if that makes sense. So I feel like I'm kind of not totally nailing, rocking this message for you guys. So I'm going to sit with it for one more second and just see if there's a better message I could bring through that would simplify it and really get to the root of it for you. So give me 1 second to get to the heart of it for you. What would be highest message for me to bring through for you on this one here? So I guess like the clarification is like, you're leaving this phase behind, so you've already passed most of you. And for, again, those of you who that like test thing or whatever rite of passage thing doesn't resonate for, it's the other message where it's like it's time to leave behind some kind of negative energy, like the frog message. And that kind of wraps that up, is what they're saying. So we'll move on here. They're showing me a lollipop next. If you went through a situation, any of you felt like you were promised something really sweet. So showing this a lollipop, but then it gets like rolled around in like rocks or like gravel, and like, but in a way where like the rocks and gravel like stick to it. So it's like this gravel colored lollipop. Like maybe you were promised something really sweet by someone or an organization, or even just like you thought it would happen in life if you went a certain direction. And like the message is like, if it actually like sucked when you like got that thing, or you felt like the treat or reward or whatever was, maybe not reward, was ruined, they're just kind of saying like, just keep going and you'll get a better thing. I feel like I need to say with that one, because that's a very strange message they're kind of throwing in here. But sometimes even like by society, we're sold this idea, perhaps I could say, that if we do XYZ, we'll get this sweet thing or this reward, or things will go well. But it's like not always true, if that makes sense. Maybe you get like another message I'm hearing as an example. It's like, maybe you're sold you have to look a certain way to have love, but maybe you've had love the whole time. You don't realize it while you're, binging People magazine or whatever, and beating up on yourself because you don't look a certain way. Or I think college is another good example. There are people who go, like, going to college and school, that really works out for them. That's their path, and it allows them to do the thing that they came here to do or desire to do, and that's perfect. But there are other people who were sold that path and it didn't work for them. They're like worse off because of it, and like drowning in student debts, and they still have a job that doesn't pay well, or things like that. which is kind of a hard life lesson to learn. But if you were sold this thing that was really sweet and you didn't get it, or it was like ruined in some way, just keep going and you'll get a better reward is what I'm getting. And what do I mean by keep going? I'm almost getting to keep going the path you were traveling that you thought was going to give you that reward. Because there will either be like a hairpin turn that brings you to something better, or source will rectify something for you. So I'm not sure what that's talking about. I find that very interesting, but hopefully that makes sense. Another like thought that's popping in, which is it's popping in a little bit differently than I normally receive messages. So I'm a little hesitant on it. I'm hearing not to be. I'm getting it's just an example. I won't mess with you guys. Is maybe you thought like a certain thing would get you something good, like a certain job or a certain thing, and it didn't. But maybe it's the thing after it that will actually bring that in. So an example I could use here for that would be, maybe you thought like the first job you'd get, like if you did go to school, would be like the perfect dream job, or you thought it would be a really good job for you, but maybe like it turns out the boss sucks, the human boss in that job sucks, or something's just not right for you in there. So it's like a lollipop covered in rocks. It's like not what you wanted, even if what you wanted is underneath all that rocks. It's like maybe the next job you have in a different segment, or maybe even just a different department in the same company, or a new company, same sector, or something like that, would be the thing that's just the lollipop without the rocks or something. And maybe it's a bit of a journey, but just keep going, and hopefully this is all making sense to you, but just keep going and you'll get there. I don't want to spend too much time on that for those of you who already understood from like the second word what it was, or the first sentence, but let's keep moving on here. Next, they showed me a spaceship ahead of time. They said, you're getting an upgrade to your intuition, especially if you've been doing the work on that. And again, sometimes you have to go on the journey. You have to work on yourself to unlock these things. Some people they just have it. Good for you is what I'd say. But if you're working on yourself, you're going to unlock some new levels in yourself, which is going to be really good. And if you're working on your intuition, it's going to upgrade or getting experience with it. Next, they said that things are going to be right as rain in your life. If you stuck around through all that, or maybe you fast forward the video to this message, or, the message right before it, it's meant to be for you when you see it, whatever part you're watching. But for this next message, they just said that things are going to be right as rain in your life. Like you're going to have a much lighter time period ahead. This message has been coming through here and there in some of the different readings. So it wouldn't surprise me if a lighter time period comes in for you, like over the next year, or you have the realization that makes things lighter for you, or you're making the changes that make things lighter, or it's a cycle is done and it's just time for lighter. So, and that is the direction humanity is headed overall, I could say, and something the collective is inviting in for itself over time. So it might take time for like everybody in the world to get there, if that makes sense, or everyone ever, but it can happen, and you creating it for yourself is going to create it for other people. So don't bring down the lightness of your world for others because you see others suffering, or because there's this war going on in some other part in the world. Hold that higher frequency for everyone, make your life amazing for you, but also for everyone in a weird way, not in a way where you're stepping on faces and taking advantage of others to have that, of course, but there's nothing wrong with having a good life regardless of what's going on in the world. So the higher a vibration you're holding, the better. And if that part of that includes you having a good life around you, perfect is what I'd say. It's not necessarily always the case where those are intertwined. But what I'm kind of hearing is typically you'll probably need your physical life in at least some type of a place where you can feel good enough, and be in a good vibration more of the time. I don't necessarily, I was about to go into a whole spiel here about vibration and how all that works. Because there are sometimes people I hear talk about it, whether it's readers or whatever. I'm like, that's not what I get as how this works. I'll see what they would like me to say for you guys for this reading. like, I really feel like your vibration can be so much more than just your thoughts or what you're feeling. Because, like, the work you've done on yourself over time adds up. The energies you have flowing through you from, like, source, if you work with a healing modality or if you channel a lot, like, that contributes to it. So your energies are your energies. It's not just your thoughts. It's not necessarily just what you believe is kind of what I'm getting. There's a lot that could potentially be contributing to it. So there might be certain people who are like down, or maybe they even feel a little bit depressed, but they're very high vibrational. They're just going through something, processing something. Maybe they're just picking up on other stuff. It's not even them, and they're actually great. They're just picking up on stuff in the world, if that makes sense. So I think it's important not to judge your emotions as your vibration and think that's the totality of it. I personally, through what I've experienced and gotten, that's not what I see or know to be or experience to be the truth. There have been times where I've been going through like a breakup or a thing, and I'll be like, oh, I feel so like down, or like, in some ways I feel kind of horrible about this. Am I at a lower vibration right now? And they'll be like, no, you're actually as high as ever or higher than ever before. You're just processing something. So, and you might have to have some give and take, with the understanding of that, or you might have to go on your own journey to fully understand it. But that's more along the lines of what I'm getting to say to you, if that makes sense. Because so many people think it's just what they feel, and I'm just getting that's not it. So I might have to get into more actually now that we're sitting on this topic. If you want to raise your vibration, I feel like what I'm hearing is like you do have to work on your energies, not just your thoughts and feelings, though that can be a part of it as well. You almost have to work in some ways on who you are. It's not just like a fanciful little thing you do. You actually have to do the work. So that's a little hint for you if you've been trying to lazily raise your vibration and it's not working, which won't be all of you, by the way. That's like for 2 of you is what I'm hearing, but hopefully that's helpful. And even if it's not what you wanted to hear, it's what you needed to hear and what's helpful for you to hear and what's accurate. So let's move on to the next message here. You all either get it or you will as you go on your own journey and work on yourself and your life here. So the next message I have for you, they showed me a watch and a timepiece, and they just said, you're being upgraded over time. Keep moving forward on your path and you will be upgraded. So I think sometimes people think, or we think all our upgrades are going to land all at once. And then, we're going to wake up tomorrow and be superhuman and shoot laser out of our eyes and be, super intuitive. I don't know if you'll wake up and shoot lasers out of your eyes, but I feel like it can happen where you just wake up and all of a sudden like the gifts are installed and like you're super intuitive, or it can seem like that if you've been working on it over time and then you're finally at the place where it comes online, if that makes sense. But that's not what you need to hear, and they didn't like how I said that. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit and say what they'd actually like me to say, which is, if you're expecting all your upgrades to come online all at once, don't. Like, just keep moving forward with your journey. Keep moving forward. They'll come in at the right times for you, potentially at different areas. Some of you, it might be faster than others. That's okay. You're all at the right pace for each of you regarding your journeys and all that. But you're continually being upgraded as you keep going. I don't know why that's a message that they had, but it is. I think some of you, not all of you, but some of you are expecting like so much all at once, and it's just not going to happen that way. I'm not here to limit you. It's just what I'm hearing. But if you're willing to go on the journey and go through the process, you can have it. Does that make sense? It's like someone who starts a podcast and thinks it's going to like blow up tomorrow. It might if they've already done the work on social media or in some other area to have a following that will gravitate towards it. But at this point in time on podcasts, I feel like you'd probably, never say never, but you'd probably have to do some super crazy marketing to just have it blow up overnight in some way, or you'd have to do something really special. Most people are going to have to like grind and show that their show is worth listening to, like over and over and over again, to different people over time to build the audience and get people, tuned in and things like that. So you'd have to do the work to be good, and then you'd have to do the work to build it. And it's what they're saying is it can be the same with this stuff, like intuition, upgrading, things like that. Like you have to go on the journey, you have to put some of the work in. It might not be likely that you just wake up tomorrow unless you've already been doing the work and you're the greatest channeler ever. You might have that in you, but you have to do that work to unveil that, bring that out. And not out as in like out and away, but you know what I mean, surface it, dig it out, like an archaeological dig or something like that. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying. So let's move on here. Sorry, I didn't mean to dash anyone's dreams if I dashed anyone's dreams with any of that. But sometimes you have to put in the work. There is a bit more with this like being upgraded over time thing and message here. I feel like you all have a lot of potential. You just might have to work on it. Some of you already have, so you're already seeing the results. But just keep that in mind. And maybe you're all meant for great things in different capacities. So you might not look exactly like, I don't know why the example I'm hearing is like Lee Harris or another, spiritual person, or maybe your field isn't spiritual. You're trying to be an artist or something like that. You might not be a Picasso, but you might be in your own vein great in your own, if you go on your journey. So keep that in mind. And all these people had to do their own thing to get there. They had to go on their journeys. So why should you be any different, I suppose? I don't know why I'm on this kick right now. Some of you don't need to hear it as much, maybe, but for anyone who needs to hear it, hopefully this is helping you. The last message I have for you here, they show me frog again, and to kind of start to wrap it up, they just said frog is a main spirit animal right now for you regarding this reading. If you're not ready to make changes in your life, or to you around this time period, you should get ready to do that. It's time to transform and become a better you is what I'm getting, or you're being led down that road. Some of you unwillingly, because they're showing a representation of you, and they're showing it as a dragon, interestingly enough, but it's more like God or the universe, and it's just a representation of like spirit guides, angels, God, universe. And it's like you on a leash being like dragged down this road of like self-improvement, or even to like the life of your dreams, and you might have to work at it a little bit. Some of you, and there's like some type of like you're like pulling back a little bit, or you're not like ready to go down that road, but you actually are ready to go down that road. I feel like if life is actually dragging you down a certain path, you need to go down it, is kind of something I'm getting. So like there are changes coming, or there are changes in your life that are, it's time for you to make. So I would just get ready for change, making change, allowing change. If you're in a place where you can allow change in your life in a big way, it's going to be a superpower, is something I'm getting. Because most people, or a lot of people, are resistant to change. And what I'm getting for this reading is sometimes they stunt their growth, because the universe might try to bring them something really good through a change, and they're either not ready or they don't think they're ready. So they won't receive that change or allow that change. And they try to keep everything the same, and they kind of stay stuck, if that makes sense. Because they dug in their heels when the universe was trying to bring them something good through a change. And maybe the change was uncomfortable, or it did take a certain level of trust to take that leap to the change the universe was trying to bring that person to. So, I mean, I would trust your journey with that. But if you're in a place to allow change in yourself, in your world, in your life, in your journey, you're going to have like superpowers with that is interestingly enough what I'm getting like that. Because most people won't do it. And I'm a little hesitant to say this, but if you're willing to do certain things that most people won't do, you can have really amazing things. I don't know if that will hold true for literally every single thing ever. But I feel like if you're willing to work on yourself to allow change, like you can have really great things, if that makes sense, or you will. And most of you here, whoever's here at the end, will have really great things. For some reason, what I'm hearing for you, if you're here at the end of this reading, is like you're exceptional. Maybe not just because you stuck through the reading, but it's just what I'm hearing for you guys who stuck through the reading, who are watching this at the end here. Like on some level, you have that within you. maybe you're meant for greater things than most, which is awesome. And I think you need to hear that. So if you're willing to allow change, you can have really great things. So I'm going to close the reading there. They're telling me to close the reading there. I do feel like you have better things coming in your life. I feel like if you feel like you slipped up or tripped up recently, like you're going to be okay. Like they're showing a banana, someone slipping on it, or, you know, like the bananas from Mario Kart. People slip on the banana peels in their carts and spin out and stuff. I feel like you'll be okay even if you made like a slip up or a mistake. I just feel like everything's being rectified, and you know, if you're willing to work on yourself, you're going to have great things. So I'm going to close it there. Hope that was helpful to whatever was for your highest good, resonated. I do have a monthly membership with more readings. It's Channel Timeless Picker readings if you're interested in that. I also post on other platforms. You can check out my website to see, you know, a lot of what I have going on as offerings, if you feel drawn to them as well. So hope this was helpful, and I will see you on another post.